although I have come here for the first time, but I know beyond any doubt that with every year it is becoming bigger, more popular and more appreciated. And someone who has told me doesn't lie to me. That's my wife, Shabana asked me. So I believe that, and congratulations for that. And then after that, I would like to right at the outset thank our host for giving a very magnanimous and very generous introduction. It was very flattering, but at the same time, a bit frightening for me, because generally he said praise is bestowed upon you only when you have passed away. So, nevertheless, thank you very much. So, it's wonderful and it is understandable that Pune has this festival and it is becoming stronger and stronger. This is a city of intellect. This is a city of art. There was a time in the beginning of 20th century, I suppose there were two cities, one in the west and one in the east and one in the west, Calcutta and Pune, where the new light, new understanding, new knowledge and new value system developed. Pune was really a seat of knowledge, seat of wisdom and leadership. From Maharashtra, so many movements have started which have reached different parts of India much later. So it's understandable and it is very simple that even cinema is started in Maharashtra. Pune has played a very, very important role right from the beginning of the century. Pratap Hitevich had perhaps was born in Kolhapur, but within no time it shifted to Pune. In as early as 1936, this city and Prabhat Theatre, which was in this city, had made a film, Sant Tukaram, which went to Venice Film Festival. And the three films that were appreciated and honored, it was one of them, in 36. In 30s, film about women empowerment, Amar Shakti, was made here in Pune. And so on. So it is totally understandable that Pune has a very evolved audience. Maharashtra is a place of art, literature and theatre. Somebody has said so very aptly that on a lazy Sunday morning, one who gets up at 9:30, gets ready by 10, leaves home by 10:30 to watch a play at 11 has to be a Maharashtrian. Film festivals are important, and when rest of the local film festivals are somehow, at some places withering away, and some places losing their energy and enthusiasm, this is one festival which is becoming more and more powerful in India. It has great significance because in film festivals, film particularly which are not from the big studios, independent cinema, that is shown here, that reaches the audience, that reaches the critic, that reaches the common man, and beside getting an audience, it gets credibility, it gets an honor. And people who are not even present in the particular festival, they come to know about the film, and the film gets some kind of currency in film viewers. That is very important. Besides that, we get films, generally in India, you get films only from Hollywood. I have nothing against Hollywood movies. They are some are good, some are very good. But at the same time, quite often, more often than not, we are deprived of cinema from the continent. We are deprived of cinema from the Far East. We are deprived of cinema where now cinema is becoming adult and grown up and doing some good work like countries like Turkey. And of course, I mean, first of all, one has to mention great cinema of Iran, and Your Excellency is here, and I would like to send a message to Asghar, what is his surname? Farhadi. What a film he has made. He has already pocketed 2 Oscars. I'm very, very disappointed that a hero was not shortlisted in Oscar this time. It's a great film, and he's a great filmmaker. So what happens that when we see films from different countries, we read literature of different countries, we learn 2 things at the same time. One, that how different people are, and the same, how same people are. And both which sound contradictory, paradoxical. You learn this at the same time. Because obviously, like in music, you have 7 notes. Same way, you have a spectrum of human emotions. You play any which way, you will remain within that spectrum. You learn to empathize people and understand people who are ostensibly different from you. That brings us closer. That gives us better understanding of mankind, of human being. We are here, besides seeing these wonderful films that we got the glimpse of, to honor these 3 great personalities whose picture you can see here. I don't think I am competent enough to talk about Pandit Bhimsen Joshi. I have attended many of his concerts. But believe me, anybody who has attended his concert will agree with me that here was a master, a maestro, who could show you voice. When you would be in his concert, you would slowly start seeing his voice. It had some kind of a physical presence you could see. It's going up, it's going down, it's coming nearer, it's going far. Voice used to become a material thing, something tangible, something that can be seen by eyes. Some people may think I'm exaggerating, but anybody who has gone to his concert would vouch for it that I'm right. What can we say about great director like Mr. Satyajit Ray? Somewhere in some interview, somebody had asked me, how relevant Ray is today? I said, when you think of Mr. Ray's film, what words come to your mind? Dignity, understatement, and nobility. Things are relevant only in 2 situations. Either overwhelming presence or their noticeable absence. Then they become relevant. Rain is relevant in a small city of India called Pondicherry, where you get the most rain in the world, and it is relevant in Sahara Desert because there is hardly rain. The same way, these 3 qualities will remain relevant whether they are present or absent. And as long as these qualities, human qualities, understatement, dignity, decency, love for human being is relevant, Ray's film will remain relevant. Sir, forgive me for certain immodesty, but what I am telling you is a fact. That there are great directors in this world. There are great actors in this world. There are great producers, cameramen, etc. But believe me, in this world, there never were better lyric writers than India. We had writers like Sahib, whose picture you see, Shailendra, Pradeep, Bharat Vyas, Majru, the kind of songs they have written. Believe me, they deserved, each one of them deserved an Oscar, Nobel Prize. They were not only romantic songwriters, like They have written many songs, many by dozens. The answer, my friend, is blowing in the wind. So many songs are blowing in the wind that are written by this writer. And they are no less in gravitas, in depth. Indian film lyrics, and I'll tell you why we have lyrics in Indian films. But Indian film lyrics were not only romantic songs and songs of pining or some humor or some cabaret or some whatever. Indian film songs till recently, I'm sorry to accept that perhaps we have lost this quality at the moment, but they were the people's philosophy. They would give some lesson, some message in the song, which was public philosophy, which people could grasp and understand and develop better value. They have done a great service. Now, I mean, you have great singers, you had great singers, but perhaps they would not be mentioned in a film festival, like we are mentioning Lata Mangeshkar. Because our average film, till recently now the number has reduced, used to have even a war movie. I have written lyrics for 3 or 4 war movies, and every war movie had at least 6 songs. It's like having 6 songs in The Longest Day. But don't be surprised. And let's not get embarrassed about it. You see, this is not a structure, that story with songs is invented by Indian films, which became the first talkie film was in 1933-34, Alamara. The very first talkie film in India had Fasten Your Seatbelts, 50 songs. Because this is a thousands of years old tradition, narrating a drama or a story with songs. Whether it is Ram Leela, Krishna Leela, whether it is Nautanki, whether before the emergence of talkie, there was an urban theatre called Urdu Parsi theatre, Jatra. Every form of theatre in our country had played songs. Now you may say it is not realistic. So Italian opera is not realistic. So it is one of the most beautiful things in the world, Italian opera. Who says that art has to be realistic all the time? No, not at all. This is the way we narrate our stories. And I'm sad that the younger generation that is being brought up on European and American film is getting embarrassed about using songs in the film. And now songs have taken a back step and most of the songs in the background. I don't like that at all. Because this is our form of story. Kabuki is not realistic. But Japan is proud of Kabuki. Art doesn't have to be realistic all the time. Like, I have worked for almost half a century. I'm not as young as I look, by the way. This audience never laughs. It was meant to be a joke, fell flat on its face. Yeah, doesn't matter. Huh? You see, we have some foreign guests, so we should speak in a language that they also understand. आप मुझे बाहर मिलिएगा. So, where was I? He is not listening. Because I asked him whatever I am saying. He said, "चलिए आगे बोलिए." जी. So, Lata ji is honored because she was the integral part of Hindi cinema. She is perhaps the most recorded voice of the world. Most recorded voice of the world. The Guinness Book of Records says that she has sung almost 40,000 songs. She started a career in early 40s and kept singing till perhaps 2 years or 3 years. Then she was well through, she stopped singing. And she played unwittingly or unwillingly, perhaps not knowingly, a very important role in the whole star system of India. Till she had emerged on the scene, the top star of this country was Surya. Surya was the first star who charged 100,000 rupees for a film early, just when the talkie had come. 100,000 was perhaps today, perhaps $50 million today. She used to charge more than Dilip Kumar or Raj Kapoor or anybody or Devanand, any big male star. Because she was a singing star. And rest of the singers did not have that quality. So rest of the heroines, poor girls, and at that time, mostly the song used to be of the girls, of the heroines. So they had to do with an inferior voice. And that was their big handicap. And then comes Lata Mangeshkar, and she erases this handicap, this problem. And suddenly, rest of the heroines like Nargis, like Madhubala, they became bigger than Surya. Surya went out only because Lata's voice. You are the only one who is happy that Surya went out. Anyway. So, their contribution, whether Lata Mangeshkar or Sahir, is immense, And yes, it's true that there won't be any Lata Mangeshkar again. First of all, her pitch, her voice, her style of singing. She has sung many of my songs also, and I have noted one thing, again, it sounds uncanny, it sounds illogical, but it's true. I mean, I don't believe in miracles, I don't believe in any supernatural phenomena, but I'm an atheist. But I have to accept that this used to happen. You know, every song, every good poem, every lyric, which is meaningful, coherent, always has a subtext. Now, suppose these lovers have not met for 30 years, and now time has drawn wrinkles on their faces, their hair has gone grey, and now after 30 years they are looking at each other, 40 years. There was a situation in front of them. And there is a song in the background that is Lata Mangeshkar is singing. The song is saying that I missed you. The song is saying I was lonely without you. The song is saying, why couldn't we meet? But the song is not saying that we could not meet for 40 years. It could be a pining of 6 months. Maybe they parted a year ago. But when you hear that song, you hear that voice, it has that tightness. It has that acceptance of defeat. It has that sound of resignation that is not in the words. Here was a singer who could sing the subtext of a song. How many singers can claim that they can achieve this? She never used to sing only the words. She used to sing the meaning of the words, the intention of the poetry. That was her achievement. And that made her Lata Mangeshkar. I mean, in classical music, people look down upon film songs. Oh, they are for 4 minutes or 5 minutes. But I have talked to many, I don't want to name them because that's not my right, that's their right to take their names, that yes, I have said that. Masters of classical music. And they have great respect. And they had great respect for this singer who was singing only for films. She was a phenomenon. There will never be again a Sahir, because I'm afraid that songs have lost their value and currency in Indian films. Now, Lataji once told me that there was a time when there was orchestra, used to be orchestra to give some rest to the singer. Now they are singers, they are there because to give some rest to the orchestra. So that is what has happened, but doesn't matter. But I am not pessimistic. The fact is that we are developing new genre. Our new filmmakers are making a kind of films that we had not written, we had not made. A new voice is appearing. And there was a dip. You know, they feel that cinema, particularly commercial cinema, is not realistic, so it has nothing to do with the society and with the socio-political reality. It's not true. If you take the list of the villains of Indian films, commercial films, you can write the socio-economic history of India of last 70, 75 years. To begin with, when there was zamindari, there were big landlords. The villain used to be the landlord, Thakur Sahab. Then came the industrialization. The villain became the mill owner, the money lender, the rich man. Life was very simple. Poor people were good, rich people were bad, and our prosperity and happy days were on the next page of calendar. But it did not happen. Then came the rebel star before the angry young man. The rebel star rebelled only from his family, that's about all. And the villain, the slumlord of urban India, became the villain of the films. Devdas was a classical hero of India. 11 versions of Devdas have been made in India. Devdas is the name of the hero. And he drinks himself to death because he could not marry his beloved. And he becomes an alcoholic and dies. And he was a cult figure. Those were the times when one period, feudal era, was ending. That feudal era that did not allow to rebel. So you could only destroy your own self. But came the rebel, and his rebellion was limited to the mother and father. That I will not marry that girl whom you are suggesting. I'll marry my beloved. This was the rebel. But then things became rather harsh and hard. So no wonder that in 70s you had the angry young man. If we had not written it, I had not written it, somebody else perhaps would have done that. Because who is the hero? A hero is the personification of the contemporary morality and aspirations. Morality changes with time, aspirations change with time, and the heroes change. Today, I think we are in a flux. Now we are exhausted of villains also, because then the villain became the politician, the policeman. Then you can't be cynical for a very long time. For some time, we had Pakistani terrorist villains, but then we got bored with that also. At the moment, we don't have, in Hindi films, have you noticed that there are no villains? Because the villains are so similar to us that it is embarrassing. So we don't show the villains. But things are changing. You see, there was a dip in 80s. Because in 80s, at least 15 crore. 15 crore means 1,500 million people had entered the middle class. They had some income that they could throw like that. And by the brute power of their number, they changed the aesthetics of films. And that was the era, because most of them were first generation educated or they were not educated at all. Industry creates ancillaries. So any person who is in that ancillary makes some money. And that money was ruling film industry. That on the box office, the ticket. You see, generally all over the world, it is talked about that what is the influence of cinema on society? nobody talks about what is the influence of society in the films, which is even more strong than this way. The main traffic comes from that side because the producer is desperate to please the audience. And he has an ear to the ground. So he wants to make a film which will be appreciated. He wants to make money, that's all. So he thinks that this is what audience will like. I'll make this kind of film. You watch Indian films and you can know everything. Because films are like dreams. When man sleeps, his liver is working, his heart is working, his kidney is working. I suppose his brain also keeps working normally, then how will he sleep? So, nature has developed a strange trick. It changes the language of brain. And instead of thinking, you start dreaming. But the raw material, the software of the dream, comes from your memory, from your experience, from your aspirations, from your prejudices and biases. You go to a psychologist and tell your dream, he will be able to tell you why you have seen this dream, which is ostensibly meaningless. The same way, if you look at a commercial film carefully, you can come to know everything about the society. Because that's the dream of the society. It's not speaking in logical language, but the hints are there, which an expert can decode. But I feel, and I am decoding, that the future is brilliant. The future is good because the younger generation is educated, has better value system than us. And they will have a better India, and they will watch better films, they'll make better films. And for that, I will thank not only Indian filmmakers, but all the luminaries who have come here and brought such beautiful films. Thank you.